In my opinion, differentiation in its simplest form is creating content and instruction to meet an individual student's needs. It also allows students to highlight their strengths and showcase their knowledge in different ways. In education, there are four main types of differentiation: content, process, products, and learning environment. To start, content is the base level of what students need to learn and the ways students access this information. Secondly, process is how the student learns and makes sense of the content that they're learning and that they're given. The main goal of process differentiation is to engage students in the content and offer support for students who need it. Third is products which creates ways for students to show their understanding of a topic. For example, some teachers may have their students read textbooks or do presentations or activities or projects, etc. Lastly, in my opinion, the most important is the learning environment. The way that uh, the way that a classroom operates and feels is vital for student learning and differentiation. Every student learns differently, so a classroom should be able to reflect that understanding. For example, it is necessary for classrooms to have areas where students can go sit and do homework with minimal distraction, or allowing for both individual and group projects, group work, etc. And all this information is from Tomlinson 2024. In terms of representation, I think that all four represent different yet similar aspects of education, but are all equally all vital in education. In my opinion, content and process represents the paths that students take in order to learn. In my opinion, it is up to the teacher to create somewhat of a map with different routes and allow students room to pick which path they want to go, which all ultimately lead to the same destination. This is ultimately important for the individual's education because it engages and also sparks interest in content as they feel like they have a known stake in their own education and learning. In my opinion, the more invested students are in their education and the knowledge that they're consuming, the better they will be. Products represent the different routes a teacher creates. This type of differentiation is important because, once again, every student is different. Some learn better by reading or by doing activities or visually, etc. It is important for teachers to allow students to work with what they feel more comfortable with. Lastly, the learning environment represents the classroom culture that each teacher sets. Students need to feel comfortable having an open communication with teachers, and teachers need to have a real understanding of each of their students and their individual needs. This is the only works in a positive learning environment. Universal design for learning is pretty similar to differentiation in the way that it encourages students' engagements and students' own agency over their own education. That's from CAST 2024. However, there where it differs is that the UDL is more of a framework in order to create learning environments that support this kind of learning, versus differentiation is what is actually being applied into the classroom. The reason why these concepts complement each other is in an educational setting is because UDL provides the framework for teachers who use differentiation learning. UDL serves as the template so that students can learn ways to create a positive learning environment and encourages differentiation learning. How I would personally integrate both differentiation and UDL principles into my lesson plans is by taking an extra step to find ways to get my content through to all my students, no matter their learning styles. I want to encourage my students to be authentic in themselves, resourceful, and intentional. I will create content that directly encourages those aspects to engage and spark interest into my students. Some examples and that I hope to integrate in my class is something like Culture Day, where students are able to create a presentation about where their families are from, which sparks interest in the individual student as well as others who maybe get to learn something new about a culture that they may be unfamiliar with.